So I'll show filing one of these down. It's just a regular flat file, and there's the piece of welding material that I want to get rid of. This just takes a few strokes. And then that should be pretty good. So I did the other end already, and I'll see how that looks like it's going to fit. Yeah, that's actually going to go in okay. Let me get a chisel and finish clearing that area out. So here's just a small chisel. What is it? 12 millimeter. So approximately a 1/2 inch chisel. And both edges are a little rough. And the edge, the end of it is round, so I want to square that off. So here's just a little close to a 1/4 inch chisel. It's a 6 millimeter chisel. So I just want to try to square that off a little bit and then do a little more cleanup with this one. That ought to be getting pretty close. Let's just check it out. Yeah, and that's dropping on down in. Oh, I see. I'm not quite all the way at the end of the slot. I've got just a little bit more wood there. And that's better. That end is down. Okay, so now I've just got to go clean up the end that's down here by the nut end. And so I'm just going to tighten it up into the device. The other thing that you really need to do with all of these welded truss rods is whenever you get them, before you put them into your guitar, you want to test them out. And what I mean by that, I'll show you in just a second. But you want to put a little bit of stress on that joint and make sure it doesn't crack. These truss rods should last a lifetime, but I have had one break on me before, and chances are good it was cracked and I didn't notice it and I didn't test it. That's looking much better. And okay, so here's what I mean by testing this truss rod out. I've got a truss rod tool sitting right here. So you just want to put the tool in and turn it one way and turn it the other way and make sure everything is good. And it does look good. Let me remove the neck here and maybe I can show you better what this looks like. Turn this truss rod over so you can really see. Okay, so now just watch this rod here, because as I turn it in one direction, It bends up in this way, and I can look at both ends and see, yeah, it looks good. And as I turn it the other direction, it bends down in the other direction. So that's a good two-way truss rod. And everything looks really good. The joints aren't cracking. So that's ready to go. So I'm just going to set the neck up here real quick so you can see what's going on. And the truss rod goes right into the slot. And the other thing is, if you remember, we cut this slot just slightly too deep, maybe a 1/64 of an inch too deep, and I can feel that little ledge there. And I'll show you what we're going to do to fix that. So let's get this truss rod out of here, and we're not going to do that just yet. The next thing that we want to do is put in the carbon fiber rods. So I'll show you how we're going to do that. Okay, I buy my carbon fiber rods from a company. I can't remember the name of the company off the top of my head. I'll think of it in a minute. But I buy these in like 4-foot lengths, so I can set it down on the in the slot that I want to cut, and just make a pencil mark, because I want this truss rod to come all the way through, and I'm going to put an angle on it that matches the angle of the headstock. And so I can see this line just right in the light. So I'm going to take this over to another vise and cut that just slightly too long. And then I'll use my disc sander to put that angle on the carbon fiber rod. So let me reset up my camera. I'll show you the vise I used to cut this, and we'll get that cut. Okay, so here's my vise, here's my piece of carbon fiber rod, and I'm just going to clamp the rod into the vise here and just use a small saw, just a little hack saw. That over the years has gotten kind of dull from cutting carbon fiber rods. And there it is. Nothing to it. So now I'll go over to the disc sander, and I'll move the camera and show you that process. I can just see my line through the reflection of the light. And there it is. Carry the camera over and we'll check the fit. Okay, so let's see what we've got here. It's just sticking out very slightly, so I want to get that where it's either exactly on the line or slightly shallow. And so I can either cut that or I can cut this end a little bit. It doesn't really matter, since this angle seems to be real good. I'm just going to run over real quick to the sander and shave off the flat end, so I'll be right back. still just a little long. I didn't take off quite enough. Okay. It's pretty good, pretty good. Okay, so I'm gonna go cut another rod, and I'll be back when that's done. Get ready to glue them in.